This is Mr. Benja's ADD experience, and I wanted to tell you something that you might not know, but you really actually do know. Your negativity is killing you. It's damaging you. It's beating you up. It's taking your money. It's calling you names. Your negativity. Not John's negativity. Not April's negativity. Not Carlos's negativity. Your negativity is damaging you. You may know it. You may not know it. But deep down inside, I think you do know it. That's what we're going to get into today. Thank you all for showing up. It's been about a week of these so far, getting back into the groove of doing these lives, having fun with them. Got a whole bunch of ideas for what I'm going to do in the future and what I'm going to do now. But before I can really get down to these, I realized I had to clear out my own negativity. So keeping things clear, keeping things positive, keeping things fresh, and keeping things moving. As always, check me out. Hit me up on MrBenja.com or any of my other places, and we can talk things out. But without further ado, I'm going to start trying to get right into these. But when I do that, people show up late, and then I have to kind of redo some of it. But it doesn't matter. I'm going to be archiving all these to my podcast platform anyway. So don't worry about missing it. You'll be able to catch it later. I'll put a lot of the fluff information on the back end. So don't worry about anything you missed. Lyric, good seeing you. Hope you're doing well. I ran into Lyric in the art scene, and I usually don't say this about a lot of people without it being kind of a jab at them, but a very artsy individual. And sometimes I come across artsy individuals and it's kind of the artsy, but Lyric, I appreciate your artsiness. Keep doing it. And what's up, Liberty? Good to see you again. As always, I should start putting the comments in again, so anybody can just comment whatever. Let me see. What's a good question to ask in this one? How is your negativity, or how is your negativity holding you back? Maybe that's a good question. Or yeah, I'll do that for now. How is your negativity holding you back? I think that's a good question that everybody should ask themselves, because I don't think we see a lot of these negative vibes when they're coming from us a lot of times. I think we like to pretend a lot of it's out there when it's really just us needing to clean up what we are doing inside. How is your negativity holding you back? It's a question for you to ask yourself. And we can discuss whatever here. And why am I talking about this? Because for years, I was holding myself back with my own negativity. And I was not being honest with myself in a lot of ways. And it took me damaging myself to really get to that next level, to that next state, to that next plateau where I could just be honest with myself and get past a lot of my creative roadblocks by removing some of my own negativity. So here's how I want to frame this. We are in 2023, the month of May. Things are progressing as they should progress, new technologies, new connections. But one thing that's been really, I don't want to say bothering me, but has really concerned me is how we've been connecting to each other online and how we've been connecting to each other in the world. The internet has been a major force for the past 20-something years, and it's just continued to connect us more and more. And with this new connectivity, we've started to connect our traumas and our pains in a different way. And before, it was you had a problem, something came up, and you talked about it. People came together and you tried to fix the problem as a community. This is why you tell people your problems and people come to try to help you out and you fix them. Sure, that's great. I think now we've gotten to a place where we realize that we as humans spread negativity because we should be trying to help people out as a village, right? They say it takes a village. We should try to help each other out. Programmer Black, what's happening? So I realized that, it's obviously not a terribly grand revelation here, but I realized that a lot of the negativity was going around so quickly because we've just been used to, in the past, bringing up a problem, trying to get it addressed, get it fixed, get it looked at, etc. Now, when we have the internet at hand, when we have all this connectivity, marketers and the marketing mindset realizes that, hey, I can get a lot of attention just by bringing up negativity. I'll put out a negative lie and it'll spread extremely quickly. And it spreads far faster than the truth is allowed to catch up to it. And people on Twitter know this, where you just put out something and it goes out and just spreads like wildfire. So we've been conditioned to reinforce and reiterate all these negative things because it gets us attention. It gets us recommendations. It just brings a lot more people our way when we look into negativity or when we spread negativity. And it seems like fun and games, but I think it's really starting to damage a lot of us. And I don't mean that in terms of there's negativity out there. What I really want to focus on is negativity internally on this one. I was going to wait till Thoughtful Thursday to bring this up, but it became more of a technological, social kind of thing, techno-social realization. So I'm just going to do it here for Wednesday. Now, a lot of people don't think that they harbor negativity within them. And a lot of people don't think that they are intrinsically negative people. They assume that it's somebody else doing the thing. So one of the first things I had to realize was that I was harboring a lot of negative feelings. And how people always say, oh, if someone calls you a bad name, that's them. That's not you. That's them. Like, okay, but why did I get upset when someone called me that? Is it their fault that I got upset? Or is it because of them that I got upset? Or was it something in me that got triggered? And I went through a lot of different pieces of this. And I want to give you a couple examples here on how this played out. But in short, and I'll wrap back around to this later. In short, I realized that I was harboring and holding on to and adding to this cauldron of bad vibes within me, and just kept stirring it up inside and waiting on somebody to come along and set me off, because I wanted to use that negative energy. Instead of converting it to positive, I wanted to use that negative energy. So I did. And it didn't work out well. My hair was having problems, stressing out. You remember last week I posted a podcast called Don't Be Stressed. It was for Thoughtful Thursday. And that's a general thing that I suggest people do, but it made me start thinking about this a little more. And now I'm just now putting into words what this is. You don't want to harbor and hold on to these negative feelings. But people will have you think that you should just let them go. This is not what I'm referring to either. I'm not just saying let go of these things. A lot of people, when they hear let go, they just think ignore it, don't let it bother you, or get away from that situation. But they're really not changing anything internally. They're just turning off the triggers and or turning off the symptoms. They're removing the thing that got them to be in a negative state, or they're removing what the negativity looks like on the outside, but they're not really addressing their negativity. So at this point, I should probably say, what is negativity? How is that? What does that mean for you? Well, if you think good is in one direction, if you think good and positive is one thing and going in one direction, then imagine something going in the opposite direction, pulling you away or keeping you from, I should say opposite direction. I say something that has an opposite force. It doesn't have to be on the other side. It just has to be an opposing force, whether that's in front of you, pushing against you, or behind you, pulling you backwards, or going off to the side or whatever. Anything that's not going in your positive direction is something that is negative to you, because it is negating your positive energy. So what are some examples? And here's how I came to recognize this. I recognized it in others long before I recognized it in myself so much. So I'm going to give 3 examples that came to me and that I started pointing out or finding in others. And once I was able to find it in others, I was able to look back, reflect on things, and realize that I did a lot of these things too, which is probably why, if you're talking about law of attraction type of stuff, this is probably why I ended up seeing it. All right. Well, let's see. The first one, I realized I had friends who were possible. For the first one, number one, I realized I had friends who were impossible to talk to, who were impossible to have conversations with without being negative. There are people, for example, you'll see a lot of, people talking gossip, people talking noise about somebody else. They'll come to you with all their problems, and every conversation seems to bring everything down. I had a person in my life where I'd get them on the phone, like, hey, how's it going? It's going good. Man, you know what I can't stand? I can't get this done. I'm trying to do this. And it just right off the bat started out negative. Yeah, I can't get to where I want to be. I don't have enough money for this thing. I was like, yeah, that's a problem. Wow. So how are you doing with that? Oh man, it's terrible. My job did this and then they did that. But I'm going out Friday night, so it's going to be all good. And the discussions were always, everything bad is happening to me, but next weekend or next month or when my birthday comes or at Christmas, things will be good. So they were setting themselves up for these occasions where they would just ignore or try to wash away or try to drown themselves in stimulus so they wouldn't feel the negativity that they were bringing up. So a lot of people were bringing up negativity in themselves and not dealing with it. I'm not a therapist or anything, but when someone comes at you enough, you can realize that it's a problem. And then you have to think, why are they coming to me? I always consider myself a problem solver, but am I somehow helping extend or continue this negativity? The answer was, yeah, I was. So that was the first thing. People who always want to bring negativity to you as a conversation piece. Think about some of the people. You ever tried to go up to somebody, have a normal conversation, and they're like, man, my car broke down. Man, this happened. Man, I don't believe it. Child, I'm telling you, child, this weather is just killing me. My sinuses are acting up. I'm like, oh, just stop. Just stop with that. I mean, when I run into somebody now, I give them like 5 or 10 seconds to get into that. Then I immediately try to flip to something positive. Like, yeah. So what good has happened with this? How old's the kid now? Where are you at with this other thing? I like what you did with such and such. I really appreciated that time when this happened. Are you doing that anymore? Are you continuing along with that? And people will just keep on bringing up negativity. And that's one thing you got to watch out for. People that always bring up negativity. And you might be one of those people. So don't get into the trap of just bringing up negativity in your head. Like when you wake up, oh, I got to go to work. Oh, I got to do this. Oh, I can't. Oh, that. It's just, I got a little bit upset just speaking like that. And where did that come from? I don't care how it got to you. You're reinvigorating that feeling. You're putting it back out into the world and to yourself. You're fomenting it. You're incubating it. So you got to figure out something to do with it. We're not going to get into that part of the equation here, but you got to figure out something to do with your own negativity, lest you damage yourself. So that's the first one. People just wanting to having a conversation. That's the only way they know how to speak, by bringing up negative things that both of you can talk about. And number 2 is wanting to bring something else down by talking bad about it. You'll notice a lot of people, and this may be you as well, but you can notice it once you notice it in other people, then you can start to, I think, see it a little more clearly. That's why the only reason I'm mentioning other people. And this is how it took me to really understand it. I had to look around and see it outside of me and say, am I doing that? Do I ever do that? And then I had to look back inside and say, oh yeah, I do that. Oh yeah, that guy in the movie who's always a jerk, I do that sometimes. I should stop that. So they always want to bring, number two is people who always want to bring something down. So you say, hey, this new movie came out. It's like, well, I hope it's better than the last one, or I hope the last one sucked, or that's probably going to be bad too, or I wouldn't even waste my money. It's like, there's no reason to bring other things down. If you can just stop doing that for a little bit, I think you'll be a lot better off. You just stop trying to bring everything down. I used to talk mad noise about The Last Jedi and some of the things I thought were going on with Star Wars, but it wasn't healthy. It was just unnecessary. It was being unnecessarily negative. Anytime something would come up, I'd be like, oh yeah, but they're doing terrible with this. They're doing bad with that. And I just focused on the negative, and it wasn't healthy. I don't know what I thought I was trying to accomplish, but it just wasn't cool. And it was even in lighthearted fun, and it got me upset inside. I can't imagine things that are more serious, always trying to downgrade them and talk bad about people. I was heavy into politics at one point, and I remember it was always about tearing down the other guy. Once I got past that, I felt a lot better about trying to get things accomplished. And probably the reason I'm not really into politics as much right now, because it's very much about tearing other people down. There are politics and ways to discuss public policy and the important things in our government and such, and just working and living together that you can do positively. So now I get on local message boards. I try to add help to the situation instead of just the common fighting that goes back and forth. So that's number two, trying to bring something down, always trying to tear something else down. If you don't worry about that and just worry about building, it's actually more difficult to understand because negativity is easy to understand, but trying to focus on something positive that you can build up instead of the negative. So that's number two. Number three, I'll do this one next. When people want to simmer in negative waters, they feel with negativity, you can get a collective, what's it called? How should I say this? A collective gathering, a collective melancholy. You all want to feel bad. I feel bad, so I'm going to walk up next to the person next to me and get them to feel bad too. It's like, man, I stubbed my toe. I'm going to tell everybody, man, I stubbed my toe. It's like, oh yeah, oh, too bad. Oh yeah, I stubbed my toe. Yeah, my toe really, really hurts, guys. Just keep bringing everybody down. Stop doing it. Stop trying to get people to either associate with you or feel good just by bringing the whole vibe down. Wet blankets. Something's going good and somebody comes in, wet blankets the entire situation. You don't want that. You don't need it. It's not good. It's not healthy. I had a friend who I thought was very, very positive, like externally, just upon simple glance. But when I got to talking to that person, it immediately became I don't really say much about my negativity, but because you're my friend, here, let me bring you down. This happened to me. I think this is terrible. This world is doing this. And okay. What does that help anybody? How does that help anybody get further? How do you go forward from there? That's a question you should ask yourself very quickly. But a lot of people don't want to move forward. They want to just simmer in their pain for whatever reason. So I'll call that one number 3. Simmering in negative waters. You don't want to do it. And for the fourth, I'll say that some people believe that, and this is not completely all negative. I don't want anybody to just look at this and say, I'm just pointing out a bunch of negative. When we get to the other side of this, I'll I'll show the solution and how we get there. Some people think that looking for a solution is negative. They would prefer to hold on to the negative and just cope, if that makes any sense. So, we ever had somebody come to you and say, hey, there's a problem. Hey, we're running out of gas. I don't think we have enough gas to get to wherever. And then someone says, oh, not enough gas. See, this is always the problem. Always got it up. Always this. Well, now we just have to go home and be sad. And no, I just said we're running out of gas. You can do whatever you want with that information. All I said was we're running out of gas. That just means we need to go get gas. I may be talking from a solution point of view, but somebody hears something that's not quite right and calls that a negative. And this is difficult for a lot of people in development or programming or a lot of the construction type of fields where you have to actually build solutions constantly. When you hear negativity, or no, not even when you hear negativity, when you bring up a problem, people hear negativity. And you're just pointing out a possible area for positivity or productivity or building or a solution. If you notice that, my shoes are getting a little worn, some people may take that as negative. Actually, and this isn't, and there are people who have mastered this type of thought process in the negative way. So I don't want to, there's so many angles to this that I'm trying to keep it simple without getting too long on this one short podcast here. But there are some people that will point out problems for the end result of pointing out that problems and bringing you down. That was the other point that I was bringing up earlier, that some people want to point out problems to bring something else down. This is taking somebody who's trying to move forward and pulling them down because you either can't see a way forward or you don't like what they're doing. For example, someone says, well, we've run out of gas or we're running low on gas. Maybe everybody could pitch in. Then a negative comment comes up. Well, if we would have done it last night, we wouldn't have had this problem. Whose responsibility was it? That person is pulling you away from a solution, pulling you away from that positive direction you want to go. That's the negativity that you want to, I don't want to say avoid, but figure out a way to redirect towards the positive. You can ask people what they want to hear or what they want to do or what they think the solution should be. If people need to have a little negativity that's just messing up their system, let them cough it out, let them get it out right quick, and then you move on. But if you feel in despair, you may be doing this as well, where perfect opportunity has come up and you immediately send darts at it. You immediately start trying to tear it down. Your mind immediately jumps to a negative point of view. It's like, well, it's not going to work because we can't do this because it's going to cause problems, cost a lot of money. And you're all messed up inside. So that was the fourth one, thinking of someone looking for a solution as being negative. In fact, I had an actual situation in one of my jobs that I had where I was looking for a solution. I kept running into dead ends. I'm like, hey, let me try this. That didn't work. Oh, okay. So I feel like I wasted time. Let me try this. Oh, that didn't work. I don't have the resources to keep doing that. Let me try this over here. Oh my gosh, this is not going to work. So I finally thought I had something that worked. And then management steps in and says, hi, we're not going to do any of that. Policy doesn't allow for X, Y, and Z. We're just not doing that. So I showed frustration and I was like, oh my gosh, why are you saying this? Can we get more information? And I was frustrated that I couldn't get to a solution. So somebody else took that as I was being negative. And that's what made me realize that there's a difference between trying to find a solution and being frustrated, I think rightfully, that you're not there yet, or having a little bit of consternation about getting to a solution, and then someone calls you negative because they can't tell the difference between the negativity that they harbor and your frustration while you're looking for a positive solution. You see the difference there? So imagine somebody trying to put together a puzzle and they're not getting it. And they're just like, oh, this doesn't work. They scratch their head, they frown a little bit, but they're still working at the puzzle and they're going to get to a solution. But they're not mad. They're just a little frustrated that the solution isn't there yet and they're trying to work through it. It's not a negativity. It's a working to get towards a positive answer. But then somebody's looking at them doing the puzzle and they're like, that person must hate life. That person's upset. And there's a little confusion there. So that was one of the most recent ones that got me. I think people were taking what I was doing as being quote unquote negative. You know, it's just this general, hey, everybody should be smiling, happy people 100% all the time. You know, I was like, no, that's not really what was going on. I wasn't upset at anybody. I wasn't mad. I was just trying to get to a solution. And the people that didn't understand that took it as negative, or a person that didn't understand it took it as negative and actually tried to use that against me by calling me a negative person, even after I had implemented a solution that made everybody happy. So there's gray area there. There is a little bit of nuance involved. You don't want to be a complete jerk while you're getting to your so-called solution. On the other hand, you got to understand that negativity isn't always somebody just getting frustrated. So let things be the way they are sometimes, and it'll work out. So now I've got those four. The people who always talk negative, the people who always want to bring something down, the people who are simmering in negative waters, and the people who see people trying to make solutions or get somewhere else. They see that trial process as negative. I'll put these in better terms in the show notes or something, but those are the four. Those are the four that I've run across and that I've had to deal with and that I've been trying to grow through. So now, what do you do about it? What do you do about all these things? Listen, a lot of these feelings are rooted in powerlessness. You get a feeling of negativity because you don't feel you have the power to literally move something in the direction you think is forward, or you think something's blocking you. You don't have the power to do what you want to do. You think there's negativity that's going to pull you or push you in the opposite direction you want to go. But we have power. We have the ability to change our lives drastically. And that really begins with our mindset, how we think, and how we act, the choices that we make. Making positive choices internally, deciding how we see things, deciding how we view things. That's where the power comes in at. And to not be stressed about it is important. Once we can start releasing those knee-jerk negative reactions, we can start more calmly and in a more level-headed way, start looking at some of these issues and not get stressed about it. Like, okay, I just lost my wallet, or I just did this and that. Is there a positive here? I can call my aunt who I haven't talked to in a while, and I can talk to her about what do you do when you lose your wallet? Because she's lost her wallet like 16 times. So now all that annoyance about losing a wallet, I can now call her and be like, hey, what do I do when I lose all these important documents and credit cards, et cetera? What do I do? That's just an example of looking at the positive. I get to talk to my aunt. I get to learn something. I get to fix myself up for the next time around. Show versus business, what's happening? Chinese pirate, what's good? Got a few people coming through tonight. Thank you very much. So also, it's important to remember that negativity has its place. I used to try to fight against, ignore, cover up, beat around, or evade negativity at all costs. And that wasn't working out right either, because negativity has its place. And I realized that this is actually where negativity is actually the jump off point for a lot of positivity, getting forward into a lot of areas, getting ahead, getting to that next level. You need the negativity as context. And I think this is actually, at least for me, I will not say this across the board, but now I almost look out for things that I see that are problems, that are issues, that are things that can be improved upon, because I want to move to that next level forward. And this is all about how I'm creating, how I'm building. This is all about making it to that next level, right? Negativity does have its place. And it acts as an anti-compass to where you want to go. If you see something you don't like, then you should realize, well, if there's something I don't like, then there's probably something I do like in another direction. And you can start moving and adjusting towards something better. There's something that's not sitting right with you, that's messing with your internals. Then once you research that and figure out what it is and where it's coming from, then you're on the path to a good direction. The only thing is, a lot of times it's very hard to see what the positive direction is, because just by nature of things, there are many times more negative options than there are positive ones. This is just how selection and focus works. This is not to say that it is any better. It is just to say, or not even to say that it outweighs the good, but just by sheer numbers, if you want the color blue, it's not like red is the only negative. If you really want blue, green is not going to do. Yellow is not going to do. Orange is not going to do. White's not going to do. Cerulean is not going to do. Midnight blue is not going to do. Blue is what you want. Everything else can be considered negative, or can be considered pulling you away from what you truly want. So that's just about the way the numbers work out. There's going to be far more negative than positive. Your job is to move closer and closer. I dropped there for a second. God dog it. But your job is to move closer and closer to the positive endpoint, the positive direction. This is actually pretty difficult, but you can do it. So I want to leave you with that idea that no matter what's going on, no matter what's happening, all these things are telling you, all these things are building up inside of you. You've been looking at the negative for so long. I think a lot of us don't realize that this can be a good thing, that we're recognizing it, because we start to understand, well, this is not what's good, what is actually good. And once we find out what's really good, maybe, there we go. I got another podcast, What's Really Good. That's what I'm going to name it. You can look for that one in maybe a week or two. But finding out what's really good is the way forward. What's going to help you, what's going to assist you in building this future you want, what's going to promote your cause, what's going to be positive for you. So I am Mr. Benja. I am constantly looking for better ways to create, constantly looking for better ways to use the facilities that I have and to discuss things with people in a positive and uplifting way. Listen, I think there's so much nonsense and BS going on. I don't want to look past it. I don't want to cover my eyes. I don't want to look around it. I want to look these things directly in the eye and see, what can I do to work past them? What can I do to fix them? It's done wonders for me internally. And now I think, because my social side of things hasn't been as strong, I want to start sharing them with you. Maybe we can have a conversation and move forward before a lot of the damage from this negativity that's been going around sets in. This is all about human-computer interface, and it's all about connectivity and how we work with each other. If you don't know what I mean by this, please ask questions. Let me know where I missed something. Let me know where I can improve, and we'll talk about this later. My name is Mr. Benja. This is Mr. Benja's ADD Experience Live. I'll talk to you later.